This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central here in lovely Kent, Ohio. The only state in the union that ends the same way that it begins, with a big fat zero. But you better trust and believe all roads lead to Ohio because Ohio is at the heart of it all, just like a great big old zero. X marks the spot. So here we are tonight, and we're doing it one more time, reading more stories from The Feather Woman of the Jungle by Amos Tutuola, one of Nigeria's most famous authors. To some extent, his stories are in an undiscovered territory, part of an undiscovered territory, an underground set of stories that exist, that is out there, that is part of the culture, but it's not gone mainstream yet. So if it's not mainstream, you know one thing for sure, it ain't lamestream. And that's why we're bringing it to you right here tonight, in the middle of what could be described as our Fright Fest, but we like to call it our scary stories. And tonight, for those of you who have subscribed to the Tubular Black Facts channel, we've got some special things here going on just for you. And we're going to start off with our proverb of the day, words of wisdom, straight from the island of Jamaica. I know want a fight make nightingale foot turn soul. Woo! Now that's a hard one there. I know want a fat make nightingale foot turn soul. Now we're gonna definitely have to go to the explanation part of this one to see what in the heck is that supposed to mean. It is not for the want of fat that the nightingale's legs stand so. Explanation: don't judge a book by its cover, and don't judge a nightingale just by how it looks. Words of wisdom from the island of Jamaica. And if you can say it 3 times the way I said it the first time, you get the prize for tonight. All right, and here we go. Coming out with the next segment on from the Feather Woman of the Jungle. The Feather Woman of the Jungle. Let's see what happens to our hero and his brother and sister tonight. What happens? What does the Feather Woman have in store for them? Because we know she had some special things in store for them. She's turned them into an image, and it's going to take them some time to turn themselves back into human beings. In the meantime, they can feel, see, hear, smell. They just can't move. And that is a bit of a problem. So let's see where we left off. Here we go. What is your name? From which village did you come to this hut, which belongs to the witch of the jungle? The prince caressed and asked her again. But Ashabi did not reply at all. She was simply looking on as if she was a real dumb lady. Oh, wait a minute. I think I must have skipped something here. Let me see here. Yeah, there it goes. Here, let's go back. I'm going to go back just a little bit. So we're talking about Alabi and Ashabi, brother and sister. Plus, there's another brother, the narrator, whose name is unknown. And they they have been turned into images, and they just finished getting flogged by the feather woman of the jungle. So let's see what happens next. Although we were images, but we heard all that the old man had told Ashabi to do, which could change us back to our own forms. I attempted to speak to him to change us back at the same time or before long, but he did not hear my voice. But as the old man had told Ashabi, to our surprise, it was not so long from when he had disappeared into the darkness when a heavy rain came. Within a few minutes that the rain had started, a beautiful young man with a gun and a hunting bag on his shoulder rode a beautiful horse to the hut. When he came down from the horse, he fastened the rope of his horse onto me, for he thought I was an ordinary image. The rope was fastened on my waist so hard that I could hardly breathe in and out. Then he entered the hut with the hope to shelter himself from the heavy rain. But he was greatly surprised and shocked when he saw Ashabi before the fire. At first, he did not believe his eyes. He thought that she was a jungle spirit who came to warm herself with the fire. So to make sure that whether or not she was a jungle spirit or a real person, he hastily took one juju gourd from his left elbow. The juju gourd was fastened on his elbow with the vein of an antelope, and he removed its cock and poured some juju powder from it on that fire. Then he cocked the gourd back and fastened it back on his left elbow. But when the powder started to burn and smell, and Ashabi did not run away or disappear, then he was quite sure that she was a real person. So he put more dried stalks in the fire, which made it to bring out new powerful flames, and it shone to every part of the hut. Now through the flames, he saw that she was a very beautiful lady. But he was puzzled how she came to such a terrible jungle as that one. This hunter was the prince of a big town, which was about 10 miles away from that jungle. He was hunting about in that dead night when he accidentally entered into the jungle. But when the rain came, he was finding shelter about until when he came to that hut. When he stared at her very well and saw that she was a very beautiful lady, he asked with wonder, "Ah, what are you doing here? You are a very beautiful lady." But Ashabi did not reply. She pretended to be dumb. "What is your name? From which village did you come to this hut which belongs to the witch of the jungle?" The prince caressed and asked her again, but Ashabi did not reply at all. She was simply looking on as if she was a real dumb lady. "Are you dumb?" the prince asked. For a while, probably she would reply, but this time Ashabi would not. If you are a dumb lady or not, I will take you to my town to be my wife." When the beauty of Ashabi attracted the prince, he simply helped her to stand up. The rain had stopped then. He took her to his horse and put her on it. And after that, he started to loose the rope of the horse away from my waist. But as he was doing so, Ashabi, with tears rolling down her cheeks, was giving a sign to the hunter or the prince that I was her brother. But it changed into the image through her fault. But the prince did not understand the sign that she made. As the prince was taking her to his town, which we did not know. She was looking back. She was looking at her back just to see us, whether we would change back to our own forms that time, but it was in vain, as we were in the form of images. I was telling the prince repeatedly to tell me the name of this town so that I might know where Ashabi was, but he did not pay heed to at all to what I told him, because he did not hear my voice. It was like that. Ashabi was taken away by an unknown man to an unknown town. She could not refuse to go and could not tell the prince not to tie the rope of his horse on my waist, because she must not talk for 2 years, and that meant we would remain in the form of images for 2 years before we would be able to change back to our former forms, or if Ashabi was mistakenly talked, it meant we would remain as images forever. And that was another fear and a sorrow to us. The horse had kicked me, bit me, snorted on my body, which was mud, and scratched my head with his snout, but I could not move my hands to defend myself. When the hunting prince brought Ashabi to his town and showed her to his royal family, they were very happy, but they were very sad at last when they discovered that she was dumb, because it was against the law of their town for a prince to marry a dumb lady. Period. Dot. The reason was that the people of that town did not like the son of a dumb woman to become their king in the future. Therefore, the kingmakers and the royal family advised the prince not to marry Ashabi and to return her to where he had brought her at once, but he rejected their advice entirely. At last, the royal family and the kingmakers gathered together. They made a secret meeting that whenever Ashabi gave birth to a baby, they would kill the baby on the very day it was named. Although the prince was not present when they had plotted to do so, but Ashabi was present, and she heard what they were going to do to her baby. But of course, she must not talk. Otherwise, both of us would remain as images forever. The royal family and the kingmakers did not hide that secret plot from Ashabi, for they believed she was real dumb, and by that, she would not be able to hear their words. It was a great sorrow to her to hear what would be done to her baby, but she was still pretending to be a dumb lady. After a few months, Ashabi gave birth to a male baby, and according to the royal families and the kingmaker's plot, the beautiful baby was killed after a few minutes that a name was given to it. It was killed on the present of Ashabi, and she was about to talk to them that she was not dumb, so that her baby might be spared. But it came to her mind that moment that if she talked, both of us would remain as images forever. And each time she gave birth to a baby, thus it was killed without mercy on the naming day by the kingmakers. But when she gave birth to the third baby, her creator was so good that it was on the very day that her baby would be named and then be killed like others that the 2 years that she must not talk expired. Her baby was hardly named when it was laid down, and as the killer was just taking his knife nearly to touch its neck, then the moment that Ashabi was at liberty to talk was reached. So she hastily held the hand of the killer, and then she talked loudly, "Please don't kill my baby. I was not dumb as all of you had thought." But the people were very surprised when she talked, and then her baby was spared at once. After that, she explained to them why she had pretended to be dumb for 2 years. And when she told them about her brothers who had changed into the images since two years ago by the jungle witch, the people accompanied her to the jungle. But to her surprise, we had changed back to our own forms before she had arrived with the people. But the rest images were still there. With gladness and a shout of joy, Ashabi ran to us and embraced us when she met us in the form of persons, and all those people wished us good luck after they had looked at us with wonder for a few minutes. As we were dancing, singing loudly, with great joy, and telling those people about the jungle witch, that after Ashabi had been taken away by the hunting prince, she, the jungle witch, had been giving us double punishment when she did not see Ashabi in the hut anymore. We were still telling them the story when she rode her usual ostrich to the hut. But after she had put the bunch of whips down, she saw many people in her hut. She hesitated and scowled at us for a few minutes before she walked nearer, and then asked, "Who are you? What do you want in my hut?" "Oh, I am very happy. I shall have more images today." But when none of us paid heed to all of her questions, but we were still enjoying our new lives with the people, then with great anger, she was walking along to that pit in which there were 2 ostrich eggs to expose them to us, so that the whole of us might be changed into the images. Having understood what she wanted to do, Ashabi hastily took one of the firewood from the hearth. She went to the pit. After she had closed her eyes well, she removed the cover of it and then broke them before the jungle witch wobbled to the pit. But to our surprise, immediately the eggs exploded loudly. The rest images and that ostrich changed into persons suddenly, and the jungle witch herself fell down and fainted at the same time. It was that time revealed to us that the rest images, the ostrich, and also those birds which were following her about were persons like ourselves. And it was that time it had just revealed to us that if the 2 eggs were broken, all the images, etc., would change back to their proper forms. Otherwise, Ashabi should have broken them the very day that we had become images. Great noises arose as soon as they had changed into persons. They were thanking the Creator and were shouting with great joy as we had done. Some of them were women of about 40 years of age, and some of them were young ladies, boys, and middle-aged men. They told us that they had changed into the images when they had removed the cover of the pit and seen the 2 ostrich eggs which were inside it. Then I entered the room of the hut. I took the money which we had been saving in selling the cola nuts, but all the dresses had been damaged by the insects. So the whole of us left the hut and were singing and dancing all along on the road to the town of the hunting prince. When we got to that town, we were taken to the king directly by the people. Luckily, when we related the story of our father and mother to the king, the father of the hunting prince gave us many presents and money. After we had lived with him for about 1 month, we returned to our village. But some of the rest of the people who had been changed into persons like ourselves stayed with the king because they could not trace their respective towns and villages. My father and mother and the people of the village were very sorry when they heard what had happened to us. Out of the money that we brought to them, they paid all their debts and bought all their needs as well. Now, my people, I will repeat it before you this night, that I will not forget the jungle witch or the feather woman of the jungle throughout my lifetime. I believe every one of you has heard the hardship, punishment, etc. of my first journey. Then the people roared at a time. It was a terrible journey. Indeed, although you had returned the money, with money. I thank you very much for listening to the story of my past adventures, and I shall start to tell you another entertainment of my second journey tomorrow night. Good night to every one of you. Then my people sang and danced for a few minutes before they went back to their houses, because they brought their drums and many other musical instruments this night. And that, my friends, is the end of that. So we'll come back, read a few more stories out of that, and then we've got some new books. We've got new stories we'll be moving on into, because we're moving on up to the east. Do 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 da da da. That's right. Beans don't burn on the stove. Exactly. We're moving on up. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to the Tubular Black Facts channel and watching Doc Ock at noon and 9. We hope you enjoyed our little story time tonight. And for all you little children out there, you know what we need you to do. We just need you to take your little head and lay it on your little pillow, on your little bed, while you close those your eyes and wait on that sun to rise. And when you feel those sunbeams beaming down on your eyes, you'll know that it's time for you to rise and shine, oh chill in the mind. And in the meantime, we're going to just say peace out to Sister Esther out there. We're going to give Sister Esther a little wave there. Thank you very much for tuning in. Any of the rest of you, that when you tune in, you can send us messages through Facebook. And we are going to be posting our presentations on YouTube when we're done. Sometimes it takes a little longer. We had a problem with our noontime show. We're still working on that. We might just have to just re-record it. It seems like it's easier to do that than it is to try to fix it. But in the meanwhile, this one should be perfect. So let's go ahead and transition to the extra. If you haven't already subscribed to the Tubular Black Facts channel, do that right now as we go on to our extra.